Welcome to the Workplace Wellbeing Essential Series. I'm Mari Ryan, CEO and founder of Advancing Wellness. It's my pleasure to welcome you to this expert interview where we explore topics that impact employee well-being. My guest today is Dak Kopec. Dak is an expert in the field of human-centered design and environmental psychology for design. He holds a doctorate degree in environmental psychology, 2 master's degrees, one in architecture and one in community psychology, and an undergraduate degree in health sciences. Dak is the former director of the Boston Architectural College's Master of Design Studies in Design for Human Health program, and he is currently an associate professor in the School of Architecture and graduate program in healthcare interior design at the University of Nevada at Las Vegas. When not consulting, teaching, or writing, Dak loves to walk and look at unique aspects of design. So Dak, welcome. I'm delighted to have you here as my guest today.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. I appreciate this.
Well, I'm sure now that you're living in Las Vegas and not in Boston, your walks are probably a little bit different, and especially in trying to seek out uniqueness of design.
It's definitely true. There is definitely a big difference between the design styles that you find in New England versus what you find here in Nevada and Las Vegas in particular.
I'm sure.
It's all good, right?
Yeah, well, it's certainly a change of scenery, as we've discussed. Yeah.
Right, that's right. Life is a banquet, and I'm just enjoying it.
Oh, good for you. A great attitude. Well, today we're going to talk a little bit about this concept of human or person-centered design. And I'm wondering if you could start just by, let's just define that so we can kind of level set for our audience what this really means.
Sure. So in the past, we in design have often been designing for a multitude of end users. So if you look at a mall, you try to make sure that you can design for anybody who could potentially go into that mall and use that mall. Well, now we're starting to see that more and more people are getting older, and we're also seeing that chronic illnesses are affecting more and more people. So we're starting to look at human-centered design and person-centered design so that we can look at the individual and try to figure out how it is that we can design for that individual or clusters of individuals. So for example, you might have like a home for people who suffer from Alzheimer's disease. There's also communal living situations for people who have cognitive deficiencies or developmental disabilities. So that's what we design for. We design for that specific condition and that specific group of users.
Excellent. Okay. So how does person-centered design impact or influence employee well-being? So let's talk about this in the context of the workplace.
Sure. So every person has a unique set of needs, desires, and wants. So a need is something that you absolutely have to have for survival. Desires are those things that give your life meaning. They give value to what you're doing. And wants are just those things that are kind of in between the two. They're the things that give you value, but they are also needs that you have to have. So as we start to look at individuals and we look at them in the workplace environment, we can no longer think of them as being, to put it bluntly, drones. We don't want drones. We want thinking, creative individuals who can provide contributions to the organization. So if we don't want people to all think and act and be the same way, then we've got to provide representation within their environment that allows for that uniqueness and individuality to go through.
So what would be some of the aspects of individual uniqueness? And we're not going to build workplaces that are taking into consideration each individual, but what might be some of the sort of categories of that kind of uniqueness that you might take into consideration?
Well, there's a lot of different ways, and I think that one of the ways that we have to start looking at workplace environments now is and the inner employees and we try to understand what is it that helps them work the best. We need to provide, for example, private spaces. People are really distracted by noise or by people walking. And if they're doing activities that require a lot of concentration, such as putting together a budget proposal, doing the accounting, or contracts, or what have you, then we need to be able to provide a space to work more effectively. So some people work really well in social environments and collaboratively with other people. Some people don't, and some people are in the middle. So we have a variety of different spaces, and we interview people, based off of what our needs are and what we have available. Then we're able to provide more an environment that is more suitable for that individual. Now that's just one level. The other level is that you have got generational things. So we're seeing a lot of older people not retiring. So you're seeing people in their 60s or 70s even still in the workplace environment, and they have special needs that's related to their cognitive abilities, to their physical abilities, but there's also generational expectations. So what is it that they expect? What are they going to be wearing within the workplace environment? And that's very different than your 20 or 30-year-olds and what it is that they're going to expect from their and how they're going to work. And at the end of the day, we all have to be there together. But the key is that the employer's just got to be prepared to say one size does not fit all and just simply plug us all into a cubicle and say, go for it. Or, plug us into a collaborative workplace environment and say, go for it. Because one size doesn't fit all.
Mm. And are you seeing that employers are really, starting to take this into consideration when they're looking at and designing workplaces? I mean, is this something they're really thinking about? Are the cube farms gone, and are people really serious about design these days?
Okay. So as we start to look at the more traditional professions, they're less inclined to be looking at this holistic way of workplace performance. So for them, we need to prove it. And that's where all the outcome measures start to come into play. Mm-hmm. So I suspect that as we start to see the outcomes for person-centered design within the workplace environment showing the positive effects, we'll see some of these more traditional organizations picking up on it. But it's going to have to come from high tech and design, which are traditionally the early adopters to new ways of doing things.
Right. So what do you think about some of the trends in workplaces, such as, you've talked a little bit about these open office designs. We've seen a lot with standing desks. There's the biophilia, aspects in bringing plants and nature and, more light into the workplace. What do you think about some of these trends in the workplace?
I think some of the trends are just simply fads, and I'm certainly not going to begrudge any organization who wants to make money. But quite frankly, I don't know how some of them can have long. I think the ideas in concept are great, but I don't know about day to day. Now, when it comes to like biophilia, I think that we need to have an operational definition, and we all need to be in agreement as to what a biophilia is. And so if you flood an office space with a bunch of fake plants, is that biophilia? Or if you just put a bunch of pictures of nature on the wall, is that biophilia? Yeah. I don't know. The true spirit of biophilia is bringing the natural world into the built environment, and that means bringing in water features. It means bringing in plant material. It means bringing in rocks and the different types of things that you would experience in the natural world you would have in the built world. When it comes to things like standing desks, I think that'll probably have some longevity, because I think people have been standing for quite a long time in their workplace for different reasons, and there's no real unintended outcome that I see for it, at least that I foresee. But the standing treadmills and stuff, I don't know. I can't walk and chew gum, so I certainly can't walk and type and,
Yeah.
do a design. Some people can, and will they continue to use them? I don't know. Or will it become another one of those things that, yeah, I bought a treadmill for Christmas and I was on it for 3 months, and well, then I hurt my ankle and I've never been on it again. So that I'm not really sure if that's gonna have staying power.
So what are some of the trends that employers should be paying attention to?
Well, I think the trends should be placed into the type of business that they do. And again, I go back to like contract law, or I go back to budget proposals, or even grant writers. You can't plug a grant writer or somebody who has to do detailed work in with, say, somebody who has to talk with somebody a lot, like a stockbroker, somebody who's on the phone all the time, because you're going to interrupt them. So I think the first thing is that we have to start recognizing what the job functions are, who are the types of people that are attracted to that particular job function, and can we provide the environment that will support the person to do their job function effectively. I think that's what we're starting to see. We're starting to see that there isn't a one-size-fits-all, and that we need to start allowing people to have some of their freedoms to do their job, effectively.
So if our audience wants to learn more about you and the work that you're doing, where can they find out about you?
Well, I have a website, and as you'll see, it's www.dakkopec.com. It's all one word. And I pretty much concentrate in health conditions and individual needs for people. Or you can go to UNLV School of Architecture, and you'll be able to find me there.
All right.
So both are great.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much for your time in this conversation and helping enlighten us about elements of human-centered design. Thanks, Dak, for being here.
Thank you for inviting me, and it was a pleasure.